listening to Scribble Talk, a podcast for bid and proposal professionals. My name is Bhaskar Sundaram, and with my co-host,
Ashley Case,
we'll be sitting down with our industry veterans to share their stories, discuss their career, and learn how to make an impact in the industry.
Today's guest is Olessia Smotrova. Olessia, CF.APMP Fellow, the president of OST Global Solutions, Inc., has more than 20 years of experience in business development. She led winning bids for 4 out of 5 top government contractors, winning more than $22 billion over the course of her career. She is the author of the book, How to Get Government Contracts, Have a Slice of the $1 Trillion Pie, and 7 other books. She has taught a graduate course for the Stevens Institute of Technology and provided training to Treasury and NASA. She has served for 2 years as the president of the National Contracts Management Association, Bethesda Medical Chapter, and for 2 years as the president of the Association of Proposal Management Professionals, National Capital Area Chapter. She's recognized as an APMP Fellow for her contributions to the field of capture and proposals, the highest honor in the business development profession. Her skills span every aspect of business development, sales, and marketing. Prior to supporting hundreds of Fortune 500 companies and small businesses as a proposal consultant and growing OST, she worked as a business developer for Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and wrote for the Financial Times of London. Welcome, Olessia, to Scribble Talk.
Thank you for having me.
So Olessia, we'd love to start kind of in the beginnings. We're always curious, where our guests were born, where they grew up, where they went to school.
Well, I'm originally from Tashkent, Uzbekistan, former Soviet Union. And I was born there. I grew up there. I was there till I was 20. So that's where I went to school.
Oh, wow. So what brought you to the U.S.?
I always wanted to live in the United States. It was kind of a thing with me. And I always knew this was home. And I came here as a student. I was on a foreign student visa, and then I got a job, and I converted into a work visa. And then after that, I had another job and another job. And eventually Lockheed Martin picked me up and sponsored me for a work visa and then a green card. And that's how I got.
That's amazing. So was your first job in the proposal field, or was it somewhere else like so many others?
My first job out of college was an elite concierge and medevac specialist. So what I did is I actually worked for a company that eventually was bought by AXA Insurance. And we helped people who had Platinum, American Express, and other cards that had special perks. Find rare items and make reservations in restaurants you could not get into. And, it was before the days of the internet, where those things were a lot easier. So we had paper catalogs, and we knew where to find rare things and figure things out and how to research. We had to speak different languages. I was a linguist back in the day and spoke various languages. I could actually communicate with people. We did financial deliveries in places in the world where people were stranded because they were robbed, and they would be in some place in Africa where you couldn't even get to without having to hire a courier and negotiate, or South America. And sometimes we would have phone calls where a person has just had a motorcycle accident in Thailand, and he's bleeding on the side of the road, and then we had to figure out how to get them to the hospital and get them home. So it was really an interesting job.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like it. But eventually you went and worked for Lockheed Martin. Is that where you found proposals and business development?
Yep, I was hired to be an office manager, actually, a multilingual office manager. As people say, people get into this profession by accident. And it was certainly accidental for me. I didn't even know this profession existed. And I got a phone call out of the blue from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I had this funny situation with my visas where I was, in the process of filing with another company. So it was kind of a mess. And I wasn't even taking the phone call seriously because I read somewhere Lockheed Martin didn't hire foreigners. They didn't, right? They did not, like, for an admin job, they would not start hiring you lawyers and processing an H-1B visa. But they did, in my case. I guess I spoke enough foreign languages, and they saw something in me that I didn't even know I had, and brought me in. And within 5 months, we had different program managers that just kind of rotated. We had like 5 different people within the course of 5 months that switched on that program, just through various sets of circumstances. And I had to kind of take over running things and helping then the new program manager really get his arms around the program, get the customer calmed down, because the government was, of course, on the ceiling, angry. And so I was on that program. I was kind of a de facto deputy program manager. I kind of had to really make sure that I made this program happen, and it ran smoothly from that point on. And after that, after the program was over, we finished it. We came in within budget, on schedule. It was really great. I got into business development, and we were selling plasma arc melters to Russia and Japan, and we did a lot of other things, and we bid on proposals, and I got into proposals. And when that division of Lockheed got divested, because they were in the energy business, and Lockheed at the time decided they didn't want to be in the energy business and environmental services. So at the time, it was a strategic decision. Well, after I got divested, I got laid off, and I got offered a job at Raytheon because they saw my proposal writing abilities, because we were on a team with Raytheon. And I got absorbed into their BD department, and that's where I got a lot of training.
Oh, wow. So was the majority of your, before, consulting, your proposal and capture experience at Raytheon then?
So after Lockheed, I did some at Lockheed. I did about a year at Lockheed, right? So, but then at Raytheon, I was there for 4 years, and majority of that was as far as being employed in the corporate world. That's where it was. And then after that, when I left in 2005 to start OST, that's where I started, working for a variety of different companies, supporting them on proposal efforts. So I got to be at different companies for extended periods of time, but as a consultant.
Yeah, that's always fun, right? Because you're not as involved in any of the corporate politics, and you really get to help a variety of different companies. So it's amazing.
Well, I don't know about politics. Like, right, when you were for a long time, you were there, right? So everybody forgets you are a consultant, right? So you get roped into all kinds of things. So, if you're there long enough.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you speak several languages. How many languages do you speak?
Gosh, I don't know how many I speak now, right? Because it does happen, with enough years and wine in you. But back in the day at Lockheed, I used to speak Japanese. They actually sent me to Berlitz to individual lessons for years and paid for it, which was very nice. And I speak Russian, obviously. Back in the day, I spoke Uzbek. And I speak fluent French, English, obviously, German. Back in the day, I used to be fluent.
Oh, wow.
Even worked for, I had a short stint at a German pharmaceutical company. And gosh, what else? Spanish.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess, the Latin-based languages, easy to kind of translate over.
Yeah, there's others that I've worked with, like over time. I'd taken Farsi at one point, and
oh, wow.
So I can make my way in a lot of different languages. Some.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you just told us one thing that I'm not sure many of us knew about you previously. Can you tell us 3 more things that not many people would know about you?
That's a hard one, right? So because I'm a very open person, I don't think I really hide much. Probably should talk about myself less. But one of them is I was an avid dancer back in the day, but the kind of dancing that I did was not just Argentinian tango and ballroom, which was a lot of fun in college. I also took classes in college in African dance under somebody was amazing, Letitia Williams, who was a student of Catherine Dunham, who's a legendary African dancer. And then when I moved to DC, I did a lot of West African dance here. So that was something that was really a big passion of mine. I enjoyed that a whole lot. So you get to learn to move in isolation, the muscles that most people don't even know they have.
Oh, yeah. I can't even imagine moving in some of those ways.
So that was one of the things. What else can I tell you? I was also a tennis player back in the day. So I used to be pretty good at it. So I don't get to do that much, but I really would love to, because this pandemic is really getting to me, and I'm hoping to fit through the door when it opens.
I think we can all relate to that.
And the third thing, I'm also a painter. So I paint. I have actually a painting I'm working on right now. I only get to paint on Sundays, but that's my sacred time to actually do my painting. So.
Is there a specific type of paint, like oil paint or water paint or acrylics?
I started out as a black ink and a pen, kind of like I was drawing. And then I switched to watercolors. And then now I'm doing oils, but first oil, I just the regular oil. And now the second is a pretty large painting. And I actually built up, before I actually painted it with the oil, I built it up. So it's 3D, and now I'm actually painting over it, and after that I'm going to have another set of effects, because I've grown ambitious with time.
It sounds amazing. So over the years, I'm sure that you've worked on several memorable proposals and capture efforts, tons of wins in your belt. Do you have any that are memorable and stand out to you?
Oh gosh, a bunch, and for different reasons, right? So this one I'm going to tell you about is for nuclear weapon safety and security. This was a large international project when I was at Raytheon, and at one point it was really valued at $1 billion. So this is when Russia and the U.S. Got along fairly well, and we were partnering on a lot of efforts, and one of them was to reduce the nukes in the world and radiological weapons and secure them, not only reduce them, but secure them against terrorists, and the biological weapons and the chemical weapons. So all of that stuff, so that it doesn't fall in the hands of terrorists. And it was a really, really important program. So this one had to do with securing Russia's nuclear warheads. And there was a lot of complexity in that project. And that project wasn't really moving forward. So at a time, I was fairly young at Raytheon, and I was just basically lobbying that they give that effort to me as a capture manager. And since it wasn't really moving forward at it, it was moving forward at a snail's pace as far as the date of the RFP coming up. And my boss was really somebody, George Connell, who was actually a phenomenal human being, very eccentric, a lot of fun, and he really truly gave us a lot of opportunity. And so he kind of had to go to bat for me for the management to allow me to take on such a huge project. And he had a lot of faith in his people. I mean, his entire team was phenomenal. So I was really fortunate to be part of that phenomenal team. And he allowed me to run that, and it was a big deal. Right. So, but it didn't become a truly huge deal until that project all of a sudden started moving forward, and it became a real thing. And I had done a ton of work to prepare the company for it. And so on that effort, it was a huge international effort. It was really big strategic effort to just figure out who would be the key people to bring on. And we brought on some exceptional key people. And at the end, we almost got it away from us after the proposal submittal. We got, we basically had gotten the news that our competition had masterminded some changes in regulations on the Russian side to preclude Raytheon from winning. And we were able, during the Q&A, during the discussions with the government, overturn that. So I had to actually work capture after submittal to make sure that we beat our arch nemesis on that project. And that was quite a feat, as I would say.
Yeah.
So another one that would be memorable, I would say there was one project that we did relatively recently. A client of ours didn't have a minimal past performance necessary for that project. So the minimum past performance that would be rated by the government would be $75 million. And our client was relatively small. They were owned by a large company, so they wouldn't count as a small client, but it was largely because of the capital investment. And that client tried to ask a question from the government saying, why do you need a $75 million minimum past performance? There are very few companies that actually have that. The government said, well, too bad, so sad. That's how it is. And we were like, well, what do we do? Do we no bid? We have 5 past performances. I think the largest out of them was like $5 million, nowhere close to $75 million.
Yeah.
And the size of the project was over $100 million, right? So, but we had a great solution. It was a great solution. Now, there were some issues with the solution too, because the competition had how do I say it? It had a more attractive solution. A customer would be much more attracted to their solution because it had a lot more whiz bang than ours did. Ours was more conservative from a customer's perspective, but we had to tell a story about that solution so that it would actually win the customer over as more compelling. So those were several challenges. So no past performance, and the solution was not as whiz banging as others. And then that's what the customer was looking for, is a lot of whiz bang. They were tired of working with a certain technology. And so we decided that we would have a Hail Mary and would actually go for it with the client. We went through some deliberations and we said, well, all we need to do is write a perfect proposal and price it perfectly, right? No small feat. And we did. We actually wrote a perfect proposal. Everything, when I got a debrief letter, literally every single thing was a significant strength, 0 weaknesses.
Wow.
Yep. So that all the past performances were rated neutral. And we had no weaknesses and all significant strengths. And we won that particular bid. The incumbent, we unseated the incumbent. Incumbent protested, and the protest was overturned. So the company got the contract, and they're executing now.
Oh my gosh.
That was a huge difference that it made for that company.
Absolutely. That's an amazing success story.
Thank you.
So in terms of like achievements, you have this amazing company, you've been able to support billions of dollars of wins for your clients. You just told us a major achievement for one of your clients. What are some of the other key achievements that you're proud of?
Well, we have developed our Bid and Proposal Academy. And so we have a comprehensive training for business development professionals that I personally, in my biased opinion, right, think is second to none in the industry. And the reason why is we actually go ahead and show people truly how to do things with tools. What are the actual steps involved in that? We go in a tremendous level of granularity, not at the kind of staying at the higher process level, but actually diving into the practical, how do I do this? How do I find this bit of information? How does that bit of information serve me? Why do I even need to ask that question? So we do have that set of courses. And based on that, we actually developed an apprenticeship program. It's a registered apprenticeship program that enables companies to send people to us, and we develop their people. It's a registered apprenticeship in government business development, and we develop their people, and then they get a national certification in that from the Department of Labor, and it is a one of a kind program. It is first in the nation, and it enables to build that really important capability within the company, and have in-depth training, not just on this sort of a, hey, I've attended a class and I got a lot of great things out of it and left, and now I'm trying to apply it to my job. But this is a really comprehensive sort of program where the person gets to truly dive into the profession and have that continued on-the-job mentorship training component in addition to professional education. So we are on the eligible training providers list, which, you know, it takes a tremendous amount of work to get on something like that, with the testing and all kinds of development that actually has to go with that. So only colleges are on that list, other than us. So we're very proud of that achievement.
Absolutely, that's amazing. So you talked a little bit about, you know, starting OST in 2005. Can you tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and how the company has evolved over the years?
So when I started the company in 2005, I really didn't know much about how to build a company. So I had to learn over time. I had to take a lot of classes on how to build a team, build a company, how to build intellectual property in the company, how to create processes, how to really do this well. And over time, over the years, I would say my understanding of that really matured. So in 2010, I was able to go ahead and stop just being a solo consultant provider, sort of like a freelancer, basically, and was able to document all of the lessons learned that became what is now OST's Bid and Proposal Academy. So it was the foundation for that. I actually wrote a manual, a first draft of a manual, and courses that I taught at the GHU, Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory. So I did a big training course there. And that was kind of my first baptism into training. I remember just sitting in my kitchen and printing in a tiny little printer. I was printing all of these binders with all of the training and collating all of these binders by myself. And it's taken hours because that printer would just clean itself every 10 pages. So it would take hours. It was at a snail's pace, excruciating. And I was like, well, you know, I hope it's the beginning of something, because this feels like total utter agony trying to do this. And it was. About 2013, I went through a lot of personal challenges with my personal life. So went through a divorce. So the company kind of was, I'd say, kind of in a sleep mode, in the sense of we were working, but I wasn't really growing the company. I didn't have the energy to. It was just, I don't know if anyone has gone through that, but it's incredibly draining, and it is kind of a process where, but it's also kind of a time when you get to reassess a lot of things, reevaluate a lot of things, learn, and that's what I did. So when I was able to kind of gather my strengths again and refocus, then the OST started growing at a faster pace. And it seems like it all kind of, what you call an overnight success, 10 years in the making. That's how it feels. You build on a lot of things, you kind of gather a lot of things, and eventually something that comes out is not quite exactly what was beginning to be built, but the elements, I think, were laid as a foundation over decades, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you're involved with APMP. You were the chapter president of NCA for a few years, and I've seen you present at some of the APMP conferences. When did you first join APMP as a member?
So when I started my company, it was a consultant that told me, hey, you probably should consider joining APMP because it's just a bunch of the same people running around, but it's probably good to know them. I'm myself not there anymore because I kind of grew bored. It was just the same old, but you should probably just check them out. I go in, and it wasn't exactly the picture he described. So it was quite an amazing organization, and over time it actually grew tremendously. So into this very successful association, and with a new leadership that came in, and we brought in a professional leader, Rick Harris, and when everything was taken to the next level, right? So, and it grew tremendously, actually reaching out to even the commercial world of proposals, not just the government side. So, 2007, I would say, but maybe 2006 when I actually joined. And since then, gosh, well, what has been? It's been a while. Wow, 14 years.
Yeah.
So 14 years, yeah. So it's been a while. But it has changed a lot. So APMP has done a tremendous job, actually, popularizing the profession and making sure that people know about it, and they have opportunities to learn, get certified. So it's done a tremendous job.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I know you've gone to many of the conferences. Do you remember your first BidCon that you attended?
I don't know if it was first or one of the first, but it was in Savannah, Georgia. And I remember working on a proposal while the conference was going on, and everybody was enjoying the magical city of Savannah, Georgia. Well, I had to sit there. The best I could do is just sit there and look at the ships, and container ships just passing by on a river, which was fun in and of itself, but I had to basically be trying to run through the sessions while trying to work on a proposal. And that's one of the sort of the sad parts in our profession. You never know, like you plan a trip, you plan a conference, and think that you're going to have a great time. You plan all kinds of things, and then none of that happens because you're busy with something that drops right the day you depart.
Yeah, so. I think we've all been there. You also, held the president's role for the APMP NCA chapter. Any fond memories serving in that role?
Well, it was trying to think what was probably the best part about that. I think that during that time we put a lot of procedures together that were really excellent. That I think that we left a really good foundation for the people to come. I was filling pretty tall shoes that were left by Beth Wingate. And so it was really, it was Beth first, and then I don't remember exactly the sequence. See, it's probably the line. So, but I don't know. It was a lot of really great people who preceded me, and then there were lots of great people on the board. And what we were really trying to do is take the procedures that we had and the processes that we had to the next level, so that we had repeatability in how we put the conferences together, and how we put events together, and how the job was done all together, and getting the newsletter out, that the e-zine, that was executive summary e-zine, that was actually, how to make it more interesting, how to make it more engaging. So we were also working on a website and revamping the website. So there was a lot of different initiatives where we were building, so that the board could be more professional, and we could have lessons learned and a lot of repeatable results encapsulated.
Well, I'm on the board now, and we have some great SOPs that we follow, and we continue to update. So you guys did do a great job, and I think we're probably using a lot of those procedures that you put into place. And they've been tremendously helpful. So you're also an APMP Fellow. What an honor. When did you become an APMP Fellow? And do you have any other, fellows that were part of your class?
So me and Bob Lofeld were part of that, were that class, I believe, that year. And I don't remember the year, unfortunately, right now. So I should
No worries. Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
I mean, 2011 or 2012. So, and that's what kind of comes to mind is I think it's either 2011 or 2012. And yeah, I just remember dancing really hard at the conference. It was some floor dancing.
Yeah, definitely. Something to celebrate.
Yeah.
So you also wrote a book, or 7 other books, so 8 books. But the one we called out in the intro was How to Get Government Contracts Have a Slice of the $1 Trillion Pie. Can you tell us a little bit about that book and maybe some of your other books?
Sure. So I actually got a phone call one day from a gentleman who was an editor from A-Press. And A-Press is this, basically an organization that publishes books, a publisher that is part of an organization that has been around for over 100 years. And they were based out of New York, and they gave me a, what is it called? They pay you money basically to write a book. I don't remember the name for it. But they, signed a contract with them and wrote a book for them. And they actually are a publisher of professional books, one of the world's largest publisher of professional books. And I worked with that editor, and it was really a tremendous learning experience for me because I really didn't know much about writing books that were books, right? So I wrote a lot of manuals and things that are how-tos, but this was actually a book. Yeah. And so I had a lot of guidance, and it was a lot of really unexpected, interesting things that this editor actually told me about my writing that improved my writing tremendously through that process.
Oh, that's amazing. So just kind of getting more awareness of strengths and weaknesses in your own writing in order to kind of build those skills.
Yeah, so it was really interesting because there were so many things that I did not know I did when I wrote that he was able to bring up to me, and I was like, wow, yeah, you're right. That is better.
Yeah, well, maybe we all need to work with a professional editor at some time in our lives. I'm sure we'd become, much stronger writers then.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I've been fortunate in my life. I actually had been when I was working when I was at the Financial Times of London, right? So I was actually personally mentored by the U.S. bureau chief, the Washington bureau chief, the editor of the Financial Times, York Martin, and he would actually sit over my shoulder a lot of the times when I would write my articles. And he actually guided me in how to write and what to do. And I learned a lot from him. When I actually got that position, I was really humbled because I didn't really think I could write, nor did I think I enjoyed writing. And when I was finished with that position, I was essentially, when I got back to school, it was actually in the last year of school that I did that, over 4 months in the summer. Then when I got back, I was able to write my papers really a lot faster. It was just so much easier, and school was a joke after that particular crash course.
That's amazing.
I remember being so humbled by that I would actually cry myself to sleep for a while, just being overwhelmed with just the opportunity, and B, just how much I had to learn in a short period of time. And I felt woefully inadequate. But And I was able to publish a few byline articles actually.
Oh, wow.
In newspapers.
That's
It was really cool.
That's an amazing experience, particularly, for a college age student. And then being able to take those skills and apply them moving forward and then build on them through working on proposals and working on this book. And I understand you have 7 other books.
Yeah, they're the books that weren't done by like an outside publisher. So they're the Blueprint for Federal Business Development. It's a like a 700 pager that basically is a treatise on pretty much everything from understanding what is the life cycle of BD to pipeline development to capture to proposals. And I have a recorded course that goes along with that too. And I also have the executive summary secrets that I probably need to update. It's been a while that I've written it, and I have words in all caps in there. So that was back before that got beaten out of me by the publisher. And there are multiple other guides for proposal professionals, like proposal estimating guide and things like that. So there are different things that I've written over time. And none of them are kind of the fun books like novels. We have some people on our team that actually have, prizes for being a prize novelist or anything else like that. I don't actually have that in me. I'm like this dry how-to person.
Yeah, but these how-to books are so valuable, especially for those who are looking to build their skills and do things better. So that's great. All right, so I think we're ready for our surprise rapid fire questions round.
Oh.
Olessia is not as bad as Ashley says. It's fun. So let's,
All right.
and listening to you for the first 20 odd minutes, it looks like there is many more that we could do. But a quick one, Olessia, because I know, as a CEO, president of your company, you might have your day-to-day job, but then how did you adapt in this new normal?
Well, we've had to, we have an office in Rockville, right? And we've had to all, of course, go virtual. And luckily, we had all the tools in place to really do this with addition of, we've added more tools since then to make it even better. But initially, it was of course shocking. I think that everybody was shocked. Everybody was shell-shocked because it was almost like you woke up one day and entered Twilight Zone. When I saw that meme, it just really struck me. I was like, it is like Twilight Zone. Right? And I think it took us a while to even get our bearings. And then right now, figuring out how do you deal with children, climbing all over you, right? I have my toddler at any given time at a teleconference or a class. I could have my toddler sitting literally on my head. And so that adjustment, I think, has been made, and people are much more tolerant of that too. I think that as a team, we've come together really well. I mean, I'm very fortunate with who we have in the team, and people are incredibly responsible and conscientious and hardworking. So because of that, we've been able to continue. I mean, it certainly has had an impact, but we were able to adjust and adapt and overcome, and everybody really pulled together very, very well. So that's been what we've been really focused on, is just how do we actually work towards the future and continue helping our clients the best way that we can, continue our courses virtually, run even the corporate classes virtually where people have to do group work and exercises. And so we've had to master technology in new ways and convince our clients that it was okay too, because our clients were skeptical about how do you actually get a class of over 30 people to fully engage and sit through days of training. How do you do that? And we were able to overcome that with technology. So there was a learning curve, but I think that there was a lot of that sort of adapting, accepting, and I think the hardest part, I think, for the team, besides children and the guilt you experience with not being able to be several places at the same time, is just really being homebound and not moving as much, right? So when you're in the office, you get to walk around a lot more. And at home, you just don't move. And sometimes you just get up, and I start my workout at 5 p.m. And sometimes I just have a hard time even moving because my body is so stiff from sitting down the entire time. So that I think is the biggest challenge.
Yes, great that you talked about that. So I know you are multi-talented, Olessia, but if a Hollywood movie has been made about your life, whom would you like to see play as the lead role as you, and what genre will it be? A drama, a comedy, romantic comedy, action, science fiction?
It could be a comedy or romantic comedy.
Uh-huh.
Because I work with my business partner, who is also my husband. So, and but it definitely, I'm such a positive person, and I just find humor in everything. So it definitely would have to be comedy. And who would be the actress? I actually don't know. Honestly, I haven't watched enough movies. It sounds sad, but I actually don't watch TV or movies to really give you an answer right off the top of my head.
That's okay. At least we know the movie genre, so we'll pick that up.
I mean, Betty White is probably somebody who channels my spirit sometimes, but she's a lot older. So if we could have like time to kind of scroll back, I mean, I feel Betty.
That's it. That sounds great. So you mentioned that you work with your husband as your business partner. What do you think are the pros and cons of working and also living together?
Well, by the way, if somebody were to play my husband, it would be Gerard Butler. So, but the pros and cons of living and working together, we actually have really lucked out because we are incredibly compatible. Right. So we're one of those couples that likes to do everything together, and not because we're codependent, but because we just enjoy each other's company. A tremendous deal, right? So we, in fact, in business, we have a lot of debates and pretty heated discussions sometimes as to what is right, but we are able to work really well together so that we resolve them constructively. And it's not like, hey, I said it, therefore it goes, or he said it, therefore it goes. It's a lot of really good constructive debate in our team in general and between the two of us. So that is very creative. He and I, when we get to work together, we amplify each other's strengths. So whatever we do is just a lot of fun to do because he's also a very creative person, and he's incredibly smart. And he's smart in slightly different ways from me. So we complement each other really well, and we're able to come up with a solution neither one of us can in and of ourselves. Like, we do really great things separately, but when we work together, I think it's really powerful. And we also have a lot of fun. We laugh a lot. So
it sounds all very positive. And oh my God, I can comment something, but my wife will pop up at any time. So I'm just gonna speak. Yes. So yes, it's the same for me as well. Yeah. So, in addition to dancing, do you like singing? What's your most frequent song that's in your playlist?
So here, funny story about singing, right? So I was once I was working in a kitchen at a camp, I would call it a summer camp kind of thing. It really wasn't that, but it was kind of like that, right? So, and I had a friend who was a musician. She was listening to me sing, and I really enjoyed singing. And she comes to me, and she just looks so irritated. And she was kind of a very direct person. She goes, Olessia, you know how some people should do certain things? I was like, yeah. And she goes, like, you should not sing. So, I was really hitting her ear the wrong way. So challenge accepted. When I went back to Uzbekistan, I was there for a while before I got into school in the United States. I was like 20 years old. And once I got a phone call from a lady, and she said, "Hey, I need English tutoring." And I was like, "Well, who are you?" And she apparently was a teacher back in the day, a music teacher of a superstar, Nargis. She's like huge. She actually used to go to the same school, so I knew her as a kid. And she is like, she's huge in the former Soviet Union right now. And after she's lived in the United States, she came back. She was supposed to be on Voice here, and there was a version of a Voice back there. She went there, and she's a tremendous singer. And the lady, the vocalist, who was actually her teacher, she was like, "Well, you know, we're gonna barter." She didn't have a lot of money, and so we basically went ahead and bartered. So I said, "Hey, well, I gave her an English lesson, her and her daughter." And then she said, "Okay, now it's time for the music lesson." So she hears me sing, and she goes, maybe I should just pay you." And I go like, "Oh, all right, well, stick with me." And you know, towards the end, she was such an amazing teacher that she actually got me to sing, and I was not half bad. So scroll forward a year, I'm actually in France, meeting with this friend of mine. She was actually from Israel originally, and she's still in Israel, but she was from Israel, the musician friend of mine. And I get up, and it's an evening, nice evening in French Alps, and everybody's singing a cappella or singing with a guitar. And I get up and I sing a song a cappella, and she goes, "You know," and she remembered her words, because I think that she felt like she was really mean. She was. And she goes, "You know, I take my words back. You did a great job." I was like, yeah. And ever since then, my singing has deteriorated. I mean, I've done what I was supposed to do to prove her wrong. I have not sang since, and I kind of suck.
That's a great story. So what's the scariest thing you have ever done for fun?
Oh, I mean, jumping out of an airplane. Flying in an airplane, in a military jet. So I was actually taken up in a Super Tucano, but I'm probably lying, because that was not scary at all, because the guy who took me up was a former commander of Top Gun. So I felt pretty safe. But it was really funny, because that particular Super Tucano, actually, you know, the modern military jets, they talk to you in female voices, like a sexy babe kind of female voice, sexy Brazilian babe. And so the plane, just I get in, and the plane says, "Danger, danger." Something is, I don't remember what it was that was malfunctioning. And I'm like, "We're going up anyway, aren't we?" And the mechanic goes, "Hey, you're flying. You'll be flying." So we did aerobatics on that, right? So, and it was really cool, because you know, it's really a lot of fun to be upside down on a plane, or a wing over, where you basically fall down on the plane, like you just kind of turn it sideways and you just drop from a high altitude. So that was a lot of fun too. And then flying really low in the mountains, where you could hit things, right? So that was, in fact, I was not scared, which was tremendous, but that's probably just because of the safety of who was flying that plane.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I mean, I've done all kinds of things where I've pushed my limits of what I consider, you know, comfortable, because I hate roller coasters, for example, but I'll go on a roller coaster with my husband just to keep him company, and I'll even enjoy it.
Nice. Yeah, we normally ask people, if you're on a roller coaster, will you close your eyes or will you raise your hands? Looks like you can do both.
Depends on what kind of mood I'm in. But you know, one of those drop towers, I've only gone on a baby one. I don't know. Bungee jumping, not so sure, and I'm not so keen on that.
Got you. That's lovely. So, if you could go back to a past or future, where would you stay and why?
Past or future? I'm definitely a futurist, right? So I actually consider that there are people who are, you know, kind of backwards looking, people who live in the present, and there are people who live in the future. I'm kind of I've always been a person who lives in the future. I'm always a futurist. I'm not a particularly conservative person, as you may imagine. That because a lot of conservative people do look to the past as it was better in the past, and now it's all kind of going downhill, right? So you look at the source in the past, and we're all kind of being further removed from the source of truth of whatever it is, right? And Whereas the futurists are always saying, hey, the humanity is always progressing. There's always something better, most amazing. The progress is making things better, right? And present is somebody who's in the present is really appreciating and being in the moment and enjoying life and savoring it and being grateful for what's happening. So I've been trying to pull myself from living in the future and always building and looking forward to the future to the present. But I'm definitely a futurist in that perspective.
Wow, very powerful. At the beach, would you rather play in the sand or play in the water?
Water.
Why?
I love water. I don't get to go to the beach nearly enough due to due to what I do. I hope when I grow up, I get to do more of that. So, yeah, I love swimming. I love water. It has to be warm water, though. Cold water is torture.
Got you. As a child, what did you wish to become when you grew up?
There were several things I wanted to do. So one of them, I was going to be a fashion designer because I was always in fine arts. And I love fashion. The other things that I wanted to do were to do a big international job. So that's why I was learning all the languages since I was a kid. So that was another dream, to do something where I get to have parties that don't understand each other, to communicate, to collaborate. So that was a big job. I also wanted to be involved with the space industry. I wanted to, so when I was teaching at NASA, it was really a lot of fun. I'm a big NASA groupie. So huge fan of Star Trek and sci-fi in general, just big geek, right? So, and I would love to go up in space in my lifetime if that ever presents itself as an opportunity.
Wow, that's pretty much whatever you dreamt of. You're already halfway through, maybe little remnants here and there, which I'm sure you will touch very soon.
I hope so.
That's brilliant. So if you do watch Star Trek or Star Wars, do you have a preferred character that's similar to what you think you are?
Captain Janeway or Captain Picard. So I stick with the captains.
That's brilliant. So what was the best year of your life and why?
You know, being a person who doesn't look to the past, I actually have a very hard time. Like, I don't want to turn back time on anything. I'm actually living my best year right now with whatever it is, right? So with whatever difficulties we're having, I'm still enjoying myself every day. And that's part of what, pulling myself into the present is, right? So it's really just being grateful. I love painting on Sundays. I love having wine every day, feeling like it's a snow day every day, even though I kind of like regret it in the morning. But in the evening, I love having to do that. And I just love the place we live right now because we sold our house right before the pandemic started and didn't get a chance to buy a new one. So we're kind of in this place that we're staying in, and it's gorgeous. And I love being around people where, like we're kind of in a cool place right now, living above 4 different restaurants that are serving food that's delicious. So I mean, I'm just kind of looking at the good sides of things and enjoying where we are now and just being tremendously grateful for where we are now, even though things are very difficult and very different right now.
That's superbly said, Olessia, because you mentioned that you're a positive person. I think for our listeners, this past 2 minutes will tell them how a person can be positive in an uncertain environment. That was brilliant. Thank you. So what trait do you like the most about yourself?
I'm able to listen to good advice, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, but it's good advice. Examine it, look at it, sometimes verify and research, and then take it and enact it and actually go and implement things. So that, I think, is is the best trait that I got, because there's always people who are smarter about different situations than I am. And life always gives you so many challenges. And so I go and seek out advice from really smart people. And then when I hear it, I'm able to tell, is this good advice or does it need tweaking? And I'll find more information about it where it just kind of strikes the chord and it says, hey, there's something here. And then I'm able to enact it.
Wow. So who is the kindest person you know?
I know a lot of kind people. My art teacher is one of the kindest people I know. She just loves people into wholeness, right? So she works with kids. A lot of them are developmentally challenged in certain ways, right? So, and she works at a school, and then she works with adults and different kids who don't have those same challenges. And she just is able to accept people for who they are, see the best in them, just give them just the direction they need, and let them just blossom. And people just love her. Just one of the most amazing people that I know. So that's who comes to mind. Her name is Ksusha Litvak, and she runs Artichoke Art Studio in Potomac here in Maryland. Or I don't know if it's Gaithersburg or Potomac. I think it's on the border there. And she has a little art studio, and people come there, teenagers, kids, adults, and it's just a tremendous place to just experience art and be in the presence of somebody so cool.
Wow. If you are in a war and you can pick between having a Tyrannosaurus Rex or a tank on your side, which one do you choose?
I would really try to figure out what kind of environment do we have, what kind of battlefield, what kind of enemy, right? I would need to know a lot more to answer your question. So, I told you I'm a nerd, right? So.
I know I should have asked you. I tried to avoid the logical part there, but you know what? That's great. So, if you had to be a teacher of something other than proposals, what would you teach?
Sales, probably, and also emotional intelligence. Because I think that one of those things that stands in the way of communication, effective communication, is really following what's called the golden rule. And the golden rule is do unto others the way you want it done unto yourself, or something, or to yourself, to you. And what's really, I think that people should follow is the platinum rule is do unto others the way they want it done to them. And understanding that other person, how they feel, where they are, and being truly compassionate, listening to them, hearing them. That's a skill that I've actually been studying myself, because I'm not certainly not great at it at all times. Not as great as I would like to be, but I think that when you want to learn something, you teach, and I would definitely teach that.
Perfect. What's the most unusual fear you have?
Fear?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a big question. I don't have a lot of fears per se, and I don't know if mine are unusual. I think that people have fears, fears of loss, right? So I would be I'm very afraid to lose anybody that I truly deeply care about, my family and close friends, and so I have that fear. Fear of failure as a business person, right? So I do have pretty high ambitions for building the company. What if I fail, right? As an entrepreneur. So there's that fear. There is I don't know that I have many fears that kind of guide me every day, but those are probably the two top ones.
Brilliant. How many handbags do you own?
Handbags,
Uh-huh.
4 or 5. I don't get to use any of them nearly as often. I actually would love to have a collection of handbags, being into fashion secretly, right? But I have my backpack with a really heavy computer, and that pretty much travels with me everywhere. And I don't really know what I would put in a purse. I don't really go nearly enough places because I work all the time to actually carry a purse with me.
Perfect. So what's something you have that is of sentimental value?
I think my artwork from when I was a teenager. So because each one reminds me of the times when it was a rite of passage. So those things are precious to me. And then there are rings, 2 rings that my grandma passed on to me after she died. So I got those sent to me. So those are sentimental.
Wow. What are your favorite pizza toppings?
Oh, some people are going to hate me for that. Pineapple. But I also love shrimp and garlic. And yeah, so I like pesto pizza, white pizza, that kind of thing. Arugula. So I eat very healthy. My comfort food is like a bunch of greens in a clear broth soup.
Oh,
So
wow.
chopped up. So I even have an herb garden on my windowsill now in my apartment.
That's fascinating. So if you could eat only 3 foods for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Sushi.
Oh, okay.
Pho. And green curry.
Oh, wow. This is the most unique response we ever received for this question, actually. Perfect. So if you could be anywhere else right now, where would it be?
I would be in the Caribbean.
Okay.
By the sea. Would love to be someplace warm with warm water, azure blue, good internet.
Good internet. That's perfect. So who are the people who have been the most influential in your life and career?
So my well, first and foremost, my teacher, my French teacher from my school in Tashkent, Ludmila Konstantinovna Yermolenko. I'll never forget her. My math teacher, so Semyon Matveyevich Butman. So I actually still am pretty good at math thanks to him. And when professionally, I would say that Jurek Martin, my boss at the Financial Times of London, there have been many people at Raytheon that were very influential, and they, they're, some of them are no longer here anymore, but others are doing really, really well. And yeah, I've been really blessed with so many people who have taught me a lot of things. Raytheon was probably that team was just phenomenal where it came to actually kind of guide me and allowing me to be who I am.
Ah, perfect. So what have you observed lately that reminded you that people are good?
Well, I see a lot of drives that financial drives for helping people out. A lot of campaigns where people pull money together and help people. And I donate a lot. This is one of the privileges that I consider, that I have as making enough money. Even when I didn't make enough money, I just find it tremendously rewarding to be able to be in a position to actually help someone. And I see a lot of people actually helping other people in difficult situations, and they're willing to give their money and time, in some cases, to go ahead and organize things to help people in need. And I really appreciate it. I see that every day somebody is raising money for some cause or someone in a difficult situation, and I'm always whenever I'm able to, I'm always trying to help.
What's the best piece of advice you received from and from whom?
I've received a lot of good advice. Remember, that was my superpower, getting good advice. so I can just touch any time that in my life, and I tons of things pop up. But one thing that I really remember that struck me back in the day, I used to have a host family when I was in school in University of Colorado in Boulder. And I used to have a host family. I was kind of envying host families that my other foreign students had, where people were just more fun and they were just kind of more jovial. And the host family that I had, she was a head of a company, an executive, and her husband was a consultant. It was really funny because years later I appreciated just how they were so perfect for me. The way I am and who I am, but back in the day, it just wasn't kidding enough, I guess. I don't know. They appreciated finer things in life. I am like that, right? So I'm just like them, in fact. And they, back in the day when I was leaving college, the lady Donna, she sat me down and she said, my host mom, Donna, she sat me down and she said, "Hey, Olessia, I'll give you this one piece of advice. Always write down what you do, whatever you accomplish in your job. You just literally should have a notebook and you write down all of the great things you do, because your boss will never remember, but you'll have a record of everything that you've accomplished in your job. And when it's time to go for, a promotion or a salary raise or, whatever it is, right? So people will not remember what you've accomplished, but you will be able to remind them." And I've kept that, and that allowed me to propel myself in my career. And even as a consultant, I kind of, write things down, and sometimes, I keep really good notes of my timesheets actually, and write down what it is that was what I was able to accomplish during the day, during the week, that kind of thing. And that allows me to be appreciated in the times when people forget, because people are so focused on themselves. And I would say that has really translated into career advancement, a lot of better opportunities in my career, and better financial opportunities as well. And I think that is an advice that I would like to share, because that is something that's also probably useful to whoever's going to be listening to this.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Olessia.
So, Olessia, we are down to our final 3 questions for you. It sounds like you got some really great advice, that you've been able to carry through with you throughout your career. But is there one thing that you wish you had known when you began your career?
I wish I had certain skills, right, that I began when I began my career that I didn't have back then. And that's one of them is business skills, right? So it took me a very long time to develop better business skills. And when I joined professional organizations with CEO peer advisory groups, and that allowed me to learn, that's when things started really turning around for me in my understanding of business and my confidence, even in running a business. So that's what I wish I had done much earlier, is actually join some sort of a CEO peer group that allowed me to be around other CEOs and around sources of knowledge of what it takes to run a company.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, some of those young entrepreneurs out there hearing that might be able to leverage that and join those groups earlier, like you wish you had done. So is there any advice that you would give to someone wanting to pursue a successful bid and proposal career, capture career, maybe a career similar to yours?
Yeah, get training, lots of it. This is why my mission is really, and our company's mission is to, do similar things with what APMP is trying to do, is to educate, right? So the more skilled professionals we have, the more we're able to promote the profession. The easier it is for proposal professionals, capture professionals, business development professionals to do their jobs.
Yeah.
And, because it's really, really tough to do a job where you feel like, Swiss cheese, you have holes in knowledge and you're trying to improvise, and there's that uncertainty. Am I doing a good job? There's that insecurity, there's self-doubt. And that self-doubt really eats your happiness and enjoyment of what you're doing. So I think that you really enjoy something when you are a star performer, right? And you get to, when you are really good at something, you get to enjoy it more, right? And that's what I think getting training and getting really mastering different aspects of the profession would truly enable proposal professionals to enjoy their jobs.
Absolutely. That's amazing advice. So, we've talked about all these amazing accomplishments that you've achieved so far. What's next for you? What are you looking forward to in the future?
Well, we are growing and we're doing a lot of really cool things right now with the company. So we are trying to get people to take the apprenticeships with us, and we have a lot of new initiatives that I'm not at liberty to speak right now. Partially don't want to jinx them, partially I think it's a little premature, but launching a lot of really cool initiatives out there that are going to help a lot of people. And so that's what I'm excited about.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have to look out for those future initiatives, and the apprenticeship program sounds amazing. So definitely very exciting things, it sounds like.
Perfect, Olessia. Is there any part of your life or career that we haven't touched, Olessia, that we can quickly recap in 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
Part of my life or career? Well, I'm a mom. So I have a teenager who is 15, and I have a teenage daughter who's 15, and I have a son who is 4, right? So he's still a toddler.
Oh,
and it's both present their own challenges, right? So both are sassy. They're very intelligent. They're really neat people. And I sometimes feel woefully inadequate as a mom because I feel like, well, I should be also a homeschooler and a better educator to my kids. And that's the area where I struggle some. And I rely on professionals. So I outsource that portion. So my daughter has a lot of really great tutors. my son too. So that's the piece where I think that, I always strive to be better. I read things. I try to figure out how to be a better mom. So I think I've grown to be very patient, and I'm trying to be really understanding. Remember that bit about emotional intelligence? You really need to apply that with your kids to truly hear them. I'm always trying to figure out what is that line. Where am I being too permissive and too understanding, and where am I, where should I be stricter? Because you get all kinds of unsolicited advice about being a parent, right? So there are people who are be really strict with them school, and there are people who are just love them school. And on any given day, I'm torn as to where I need to be as a mom, and I just kind of try to go with my gut, and sometimes I'm double guessing my gut too. So I don't know, that's an area of challenge for me that I find. But if you ask my kids, they all love me and they think I'm the greatest. So I don't know.
That's it. At the end of the day, that's the important thing. I think nobody knows the right answer. The upbringing is a very different ball game, but no one, just enjoy the journey as you currently do. But that's it. Thank you for sharing that.
I hope you're right.
So thank you so much, Olessia, for your time. I think it's been a real privilege to have you with us at Scribble Talk, with you, family, loved ones, colleagues, clients, everybody, all the good health and happiness. Please continue to inspire bid and proposal industry colleagues and everybody around you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and look after yourself.
Thank you. You too.
To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Please visit batchyscribble.com/podcast to listen to this episode and check out any of our other previously recorded episodes. If you've enjoyed today's interview, don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the Scribble Talk podcast. We hope you'll check out our next episode where we interview another industry expert and special guest. Until then, it's Ashley Kays
Bhaskar Sundram,
signing off.